Bitch bad, woman good, lady better. So Shakira and I listened to the song. This has been one of my favorite songs for years now. Lupe Fiasco, he is one of the greatest lyricists ever in life, and the whole industry recognizes and acknowledges it. It's not one of those underground things. But this song, which is the title of today's podcast, is a letter to the community, and it is a real deep song. He did a video to it, and the video was very expressive of exactly what the lyrics are saying. And the primary focus of it was the kids, was the youth, and how they are viewing the content that they are consuming. Bitch bad, woman good, lady better. Just the first part is primarily what we are seeing in our community. Everything is showing that you got to be a bad bitch. You got, you basic if you not this or that, X, Y, and Z. So our children are consuming these things, and we need to be mindful that they understand the difference between what they're consuming as entertainment versus it being their identity. And I think we've gone so long with the elders telling us we're going in the wrong direction, and we've told them to shut up. They don't understand we're having fun and that it's not a problem. But fast forward, hey Nico, what's up? Good to see you, brother. Hey Nita. But we have told them to shut up and that they're wrong and we're just having fun. But fast forward, what's going on right now is our kids not only can they not read, but they have become the menaces to society that we were offended that Hillary Clinton called when she said in the 90s that Black kids were super predators. It wasn't true then, and we had the right to be offended. But on today, we, our generation and older generations, we are afraid of the youth because not only the music, but their games and everything that they're being inundated with is desensitizing them to even human interactions and human emotions, and they are psychological weapons on society.
For sure.
So at some point, we're going to have to take accountability. Tupac said the old way wasn't worth it, so it's on us to do what we got to do to survive. So we have to do something different than what has been done, and we cannot continue to go on saying it's just entertainment,
Mm.
right? And so, with the title, I do want to put a disclaimer because it is a man who is singing this song, and the title, Bitch Bad, Woman Good, Lady Better, you would think it's directed strictly towards women, and it's telling you, you need to be a lady, you need to be a woman, what they call a respectability politics, and telling a woman how to conduct herself and how to be a lady. But it's really not about that per se. Dress the way you want to, but you do need to be mindful and aware of what we're presenting to these children, because you can listen to a song and say, well, it's just entertainment, and you can determine within yourself, I'm not a hoe. I just like that song. But that child whose brain is not developed, they can't determine the difference between this woman is getting positive reinforcement by being this way. The men want her. I need to do what she's doing. She's winning. She's winning. All these girls are winning and they're getting all these perks. You got a young Miami pretending like she like to get pissed on because of the way that it looks, public perception. And it wasn't until people started looking at her sideways that she was like, oh, maybe I don't like that. She's in her 30s. So how much more a young girl? So we really need to get serious about entertainment versus identity. Now, we've talked about this many times. This is not an attack on music. We from New Orleans. When we hear that BEAT, guess what? Their neck about to pop. Because we enjoy our music. But is it a coincidence that here in New Orleans with hypersexualized music that we have some of the highest STD rates in the nation?
Mm.
Some years we've been at the very top of the list. Let me see. I'm looking at my brother. He said, a child's mind would develop into whatever their environment tells them they are. That's right, Nico. That's right. And when it comes down to it, systemically, our identity has been stripped away from us. And if we don't reinforce it within ourselves, what they say, if you don't know who you are, someone else can tell you who you are. And that is what's been going on. We were the babies who were taught in these ways, and now we have children. And if we don't pivot, the cycle will continue. It is worse than it has ever been. We are the last generation that knows what we lost. We are the last generation that knows how much is at stake. So if we don't do it, the community is done. And that's not being dramatic. That's not hyperbole. Which is how you say it. That is the truth. That is factual. That is the honest truth. We have to do it. We feel like our ancestors let us down. We cannot let our children down. So the safety of the children. So Lupe Fiasco, the first verse, he's talking about a young boy sitting with his mother in a car, listening to a song. In the song, the woman is saying, "Cause I'm a bad bitch, and I'm bad bitch." So the young boy, it, just think about it like this: when you have racist ideals that are being promoted in movies, Black people are being programmed one way, and then white people are being programmed another way, right? So your daughter child sees that message one way, your male child sees that message another way. They're both consuming that message. The girl is saying, I need to debase myself. And then the boy is saying, I need to debase her. One of the main issues in our community today is that the women feel unprotected. What's so essential for our community right now is to understand that the protection of women and children and little girls cannot come at the expense of the mental health and the sanity of the man. So when you penalize or pervert the idea of manhood to protect a woman, when you begin to teach little boys to disrespect women at a young age, there is no protection. And then it becomes an avalanche because the woman is going to lash out at that man. And that's what we're having right now. We have this avalanche of protection, a lack of protection, and then disrespect. The Bible tells the man to love the woman and for the woman to respect the man. And that's not just in marriage, that's just the community in general. If my brothers are disrespecting the sisters, the baby boys are going to disrespect the little girls. Just period. But this idea of identity, I am highly invested in NBA young boy. The reason why I'm highly invested in him is because my nephew and all the little boys that I know love him. They love him so much. This young man, not that long ago, he was very suicidal and he was trying to do things to go to jail because he didn't want to deal with the real world. He had been into some violent things. There's rumors that he was involved with murders and all this type of stuff. And all of that stuff was going on publicly. Imagine children consuming a bunch of young male children, because all these young rappers were males, talking about murdering their ops. And it was so desensitized that they were waiting on the next one to die, like it was a video game or like it was a movie, but these were real people. The problem with this today is the fact that we want people in politics to take our community serious. But as long as we say we don't love ourselves and we don't care about our community, we can't build anything sustainable to where anybody else is going to want to respect us. Because the truth of the matter is, the adults are saying, fuck those children. We are saying, fuck those children. So, first of all, we got to determine if we care. Because in order to have a conversation about bitch bad, woman good, lady better, we have to acknowledge that where goes the woman, there goes the nation. And the conversation has to start with the woman because they're the ones who mold the minds of the children. And sadly for our community, there are a lot of great fathers, but a lot of women are left with the kids alone. So, regardless of how the man has abandoned us or what systemically has happened to us as a community, at the end of the day, today we need to make tangible motion towards solutions if we care about a future for our community. Does that make sense to you guys? That makes sense? That makes sense to you?
Yeah, it definitely does. It makes a lot of sense. And I think it's, just ultimately how language or entertainment really contributes to shaping our identity. You know,
Yes.
and when I was listening to that song, because I had never heard that song before, you shared it with me.
Mhm.
And I listened to the song and I watched the video. And basically, it's a little boy sitting in the car and he hears his mother refer to herself as this bad bitch, right?
Mhm.
And, a group of little girls, they hear men say things like, I only like bad bitches. Same word, right?
Yes. Yes.
Different meaning. So, total confusion. And, for the mother, because I've been guilty of it too, it's, we like I love confident music. I love, words are in the meaning of people.
Yeah.
So what the word means to me may not be the same thing what the word means to you. And, for the mother, bad means confident and attractive and above average. But for the little boy, bitch means disrespect,
Yes.
and for a little girl, a bad bitch is something that's ideal. Like, I want to be a bad bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be a bad bitch, So it's about paying attention to the psychological tension. Um, when we redefine words, do we also redefine the consequences to them, because we use that word sometimes as women as a term of endearment, but called to us by the wrong person is very highly offensive. And for a child trying to understand, what's happening, they're learning from the music, they're learning from the entertainment, they're learning from, you know, what they see, and they're trying to match that with what they're experiencing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we talked about that, yesterday because the thing about music is, you were really intentional about not attacking music because you love music, all kinds of music, all types of music. I know you do. And a lot of us love music, but a lot of music, I heard you say when we were talking yesterday, is, how they, whoever you want to define they, it as, but how they are using music to weaponize our community. You know,
Yes.
how they're using influencers and entertainment to weaponize our community. And I would like for you to speak a little bit about what that actually means, when you say that, so that we can kind of have a perspective of how can you use music to weaponize a whole community of people.
There is a science behind music and sounds and frequencies. If there is a entity that wants to keep a population discombobulated and confused and broken, they're going to employ several weapons. And we like to say, okay, we had the war against drugs, we had COINTELPRO, and we like to say those different things, but we don't like to acknowledge that not only are our schools being weaponized against us with the school to prison pipeline, but that entertainment and music and sounds can also be weaponized against us as well. Certain frequencies can stop your heartbeat or change your heartbeat. They can um they can transcend your subconscious mind. You're thinking you're getting a message and you're controlling the way you're receiving it. And they'll have music where they'll have messages being played backwards and you won't catch it, but your subconscious mind will. And you won't understand why you're so angry or frustrated. It's almost like when people watch scary movies and they say, you know what, I gotta watch something funny before I go to sleep. Well, you've listened to that song and you think you're all right, but your subconscious mind is still in that fear mode from whatever that message was, or that panic mode, or that anger mode, or that frustration mode. So it's very, very important to understand that whatever we are planting will grow. So
Mm.
if we are going to, like, for me personally, with me being so aware of what music does, even though I love music, I understand that if I'm going to consume this, that I need to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to consume some positive, some light, some godly, some, even if it's not like thus says the Lord, it's got to be something that's going to instill some peace in my spirit, some positive messages. Even if it's not music, if I'm affirming myself, I cannot, if I'm listening to a sexy red song, I have to make sure that I'm affirming within myself the type of woman I, because I don't need to be approaching my everyday situations as if I'm sexy red. Once again, I'm a strong woman, got a mind of my own, but your subconscious mind, you will catch yourself responding or saying some city girl stuff to your old man who's so good to you. You will mess up your whole relationship living your life off of a meme or off of a song, you know? And a
Yeah.
lot of those songs in the 90s, we look at it so fondly because it was so beautiful sonically, but a lot of those messages was like, fuck your man, I don't care if he married, saving all my love for you, he's mine, you may have had him once, but I got him all the time. Fuck them bitches, all of these messages. We are seeing the ramifications of it in our community. We are the most divided we have ever been, and we cannot continue to feel like that is inconsequential to the things we have been consuming. So if we are going to consume, I have, if I'm being honest, I have been in places in my life where I have completely isolated myself from music and entertainment and consuming for spiritual purposes. But I did elect to come back to music, but I still have that knowledge of, I cannot be unaware of what I've become aware of, right? So we have to be very, very much, what should I say?
Yeah, no, I'm just oops, sorry about that. I'm just, as you're talking, I'm thinking about so many things, especially as it relates to music. And I've been in that same place, right? I like I love my ratchet music sometimes. I got some songs that I listen to that I wouldn't let my children hear me listening to and let them see me, responding to the music in a certain way. At the same time, there's some songs that I used to listen to back in the day that, I had to literally stop listening to because I realized the influence that it was having on me, that it was having on the way that I feel and the way that I think and the way that I respond in certain situations. Not only that, but, I don't know, you probably could speak more to this. I don't know if it was Michael Jackson or somebody that was talking about how music is a form of chanting, which is like magical spells in a
Yes,
sense. And
absolutely.
and biblically, the biblical principle is, like life and death is in the power of a tongue. So whatever you're saying, especially, when there's repetition involved, it's shaping you. It's becoming part of you. You talked about the subconscious mind. And, there's songs from 15, 25 years ago that I haven't heard, but I can still rap it like it just came out yesterday. Like I just heard it yesterday, and then there's some music, that I hear that just puts me in such a place of worship, we was in a choir together that hallelujah. You're supposed to start singing.
Now that you brought up gospel music, I want to say that, our generation is like the last generation that crossed between analog and digital. Not only that, we grew up with the soundscape of the 90s. We had a myriad of music. We had strong gospel influences. While we had balance with everything. In addition to the images that we had on TV, we had a lot of positive HBCU stuff across many So when we think about what we're consuming, we take for granted that we have been grounded and we grew up in the church. So we
Yeah.
have a strong spiritual root in us, and we think that because we
Sure.
raised our kids that they have everything that we have, but they didn't grow up in a society where you were still inundated with strong church soulful music,
A
where
great point.
where you had a society that had love songs. There are no love songs. There is no gospel. The churches are different. There are no positive images on TV. And so we are assuming that the same level of care and empathy and soul that we have inside of us, that because our children have come from us, that they have the same thing. No, they don't have the same level of empathy. They don't have the same level of natural warmth and morale compass that we had because Sunday school and all of that. And so
So true. Great point.
it's a whole. So right now, like I'm not about to just tell everybody, oh, you need to be a Christian. But what I do want to say, because I know that there was a big turning away where a lot of people left the church. What's very, very important is for you to continue to embed a moral compass into your children. You cannot just go out of the church and do what thou wilt. Positive things have to be reinforced continually into your children. We have a society of lawlessness because people have turned away from sound doctrine, because people have turned away from those soulful spiritual messages that embedded that moral compass in us. Yes, I do believe that we are born with a sense of right and wrong, but a little baby, I watched a baby put water out the refrigerator into a cup and pour it into her potty to pretend that he peed in the potty, and the parents put on the diaper, and she went there and sat in that corner and peed in that doggone diaper. I saw a baby do that. She had to be no more than like 2, 3 years old. Yes, we're born with the state of right or wrong, but we will do wrong if it makes us comfortable. As humans, just human nature doesn't make you the most evil, wicked, but if you don't cultivate and continue to pour in that positivity and that moral compass and teach those lessons, a lot of people, they've come out of the church, they have no spiritual guidance in their life, and they're living lawlessly. And
Mhm.
every single day, there is nothing to pour in and to encourage that. So you don't have love songs. Everything, their video games, all of their video games is desensitizing them. What is that game? Grand Theft Auto? Or
Mhm.
whatever. Strippers on the street, you got like killing, blood, gore, all that stuff. It's like everything is to turn these, and then we talked about the tree of good and evil. That's what their cell phone are. We are sitting, I heard a lot of parents say, well, my kids are so smart. They came out so smart. They're so much smarter than, they're not so much smarter. They're just exposed to so much more at a younger age. When they have that cell phone and they have YouTube, they are exposed to everything all at once. The only problem is they don't have the reference of life to understand what they're consuming. So all they're going to do is, what's it, a sponge, and regurgitate and reenact everything that they see, not even understanding what they are consuming. So no, your kids are not smart. They are just inundated, just, you have given them the tree of good and evil. With
Yeah, giving them access to too much for their brain capacity to process and understand. And when we do that, it's dangerous first and foremost for our children.
yeah,
Um, and it also creates the reference point for when they're experiencing certain things. That's their point of reference on how to respond to it and how to deal with it. And, that's a very, very soft spot for me because, I was exposed to certain entertainment and certain, media and movies earlier than I should have been exposed to. And I was telling you earlier about the poetic justice thing, right? And I don't know how old I was when poetic justice came out. If that's the name of the movie with Janet Jackson, what's the name of the movie?
that's my favorite movie.
What is it? Is it poetic justice? It is, right?
With Tupac and
Yeah.
Janet.
Yeah. So, when that movie came out, I don't know how old I was, but I do remember being in my room rewinding the part when they was getting busy in the mail truck,
Yes.
because that was like soft porn basically.
Right. Right.
And and I'm like, what is going on here? But
It
that
was soft. Imagine these kids have access to real porn
real porn.
on their
Playing
phones. There is
explicit.
no firewall, no barrier whatsoever to them seeing everything. And when I mean everything, it's not just missionary doggy style. They are seeing transgender, transsexual, incestuous. Like there is a push in porn right now where a lot of it is very highly incestuous. Mommy on son, stepdaughter, dad type stuff. It's deliberate, it's very intentional. They want to pervert the children. They know they have access to all of these things. And it's very suggestive. Like we were talking about Janet Jackson, right? So Janet Jackson, a lot of her music has taught me to be a little bit more sexually, sensual. We should say anytime, any place, and all that stuff. It's like,
Where you at? I can't hear you.
oh no, I was just
Oh,
I was in my mind about kids consuming these messages. Like one of the things that's going on with the connection between young men and young women, they said more people are lonely now. More people are not dating because of they think their options are way more plenty than they are. And they think that they have options to the most beautiful girls when it comes to the men, and then the women they think they have options that are very, very rich, right? And it's just not realistic. It's not reality based. And the standards are just killing them. It's killing their prospects, you know? So it's just they are hitting them on so many different levels. So for me, I would like to have a call to action, but the call to action today, because I want to continue this discussion on different levels. But today, just as an opener, the call to action is just reflect. Reflect on how what you have consumed has influenced the way you navigate life today. And if you are a mother, consider what you had that your children did not have
mm,
and how much they need your order. Not just your order in your discipline and your direction, but in the way that you separate entertainment versus your own identity.
that's real
To
good.
be mindful. Our kids cannot read, and they're passing them along. They're giving them trophies for every little thing. All of these things are creating a society of sensitive, egotistical narcissists who are very, very easily triggered and dangerous to society.
Right.
They're depressed, they're highly suicidal, and they don't care about nothing. In addition to the fact that they can't read. If a person doesn't know how to read, they don't know how to think critically. So, my call to action is to reflect on this discussion, to reflect on how much you're consuming and how much of your day can you balance what you're consuming with something that is going to instill peace into you and your children, that is going to instill a moral compass into you and your children. Because at the end of the day, we have to restore harmony in this world. And yes, we are but a drop in the bucket, but if all of us are doing it, we can make some waves.
Sure.
What say you?
I'm just still stuck on the point that you made about, I'm sitting here thinking about how much of my identity is truly mine and how much is it, the entertainment
Yeah,
that I grew up with. And, the point that you made about gospel music, and us having that.
yeah.
We grew up with great grandmothers and parents that grew up in the church and brought us to church, and an auntie that picked all us up and brought us to church and put us in the choir, and we had that foundation, and
Bible study and Sunday school.
okay, I mean, and how many kids, I mean, it's really hard to find a church with a good youth program today. There's some out there, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but when we were in church and our era coming up, they had youth programs at every church, and I mean, we would go compete with other churches' youth choirs. We would go to school, letting our friends know we're gonna beat y'all at the competition. Like we were really involved with those things. And so yeah, we did have, what her name? Miss Tia later, smoking them trees, smoking the fire. We have a lot of music like they have today that's shaping,
and we
her.
still love Ghetto Twins.
Okay. But the Ghetto Twins also had responsibility.
They
They also had no pain, no gain.
had yes.
So we had a healthy balance, but most importantly, I find it very, it was an eye opener for me when you said how we had that foundation, the Kirk Franklin and Yolanda Adams and the choir and Sunday school and those different vocational Bible study and those things that also help us to have a balance to why I think to this day, we're one of the dopest generations there is
Right.
because we had the best of both worlds, and we also have this generation coming behind us that we're responsible for, that we made. I know I didn't think about how much my, church and gospel music played a part in shaping me to have a mind today to know, what's right and what's best and
Yeah.
how to respond in a way that it don't destroy my future or hurt my family, you know.
Pray, you know, is akin to meditation. If whatever works, but we had that, at least we knew to, take a moment to be silent, to be still, instead of being so quick to react. You
Sure,
know, those lessons are invaluable to our generation, and our kids are void of it.
for sure, and I know we didn't too much talk about, mothers and, and how important mothers are and the role that we play as mothers as it relates to this entire topic. And I definitely want us to kind of come back and talk about that because I think it's very important. Because, mothers, we are so important. We are so powerful. We are so necessary. We're one of the most influential persons, for this next generations, especially because 1 in 4 single family homes, is basically children raised by their mothers.
Yeah. So, okay, so since we're talking about that, another call to action will be to consider and reflect on the idea of how much we have been brainwashed and fed that women cannot get along.
Hmm.
We need each other.
We do, for sure.
I personally feel like between the school to prison pipeline and the obvious brainwashing that's going on right now with the kids not being able to read, with them not being able to count or anything, I feel like the schools are failing our kids, and our kids would benefit more from not only learning reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also history. They've lied about a lot of our history. I believe that we would best come in together as a community. Everybody doesn't need to homeschool if you have a teacher in that community who can take X amount of kids. And you can have another sister who also enjoys teaching or reading or singing activities with the kids. We can do that. There are people who are sitting home collecting checks who could be doing those things, but because we have such a lack of willingness to be open to building, it is work getting up in the morning. It is work watching what you eat. It is work to work out, to consider your physical fitness. And it is also work to have healthy relationships with other human beings.
For
It
sure.
is not supposed to be easy, and it is unrealistic to think that you're going to have perfect relationships with everybody else. But at the end of the day, we need each other.
We really do.
And we need to understand conflict resolution, and we need to understand the bigger picture, and we need to learn how to pick your battles, and we need to learn the greater good, how to let things go because the collective is more important than the individual. We care about each other's mental health, but the truth of the matter is, harmony for all is good for the individual as well. Society is stressing people out. The state of society is stressing people out. What is society? A whole bunch of individuals collectively. So if we could step outside of the brainwashing, you know, and it's, I pray the same thing with men and women interactions. We have been brainwashed to hate one another. Can we reflect on the fact that we really need each other?
Mm,
We do.
we really do.
Like, women and children need to be protected by men. We need protection. We need men to protect us from the bad men. But if you're looking at every man like he's bad, who is going to protect you? And then you're looking at the men crazy when they don't stand up to protect you when you beat him down so much. We have to come to the middle and stop fighting. We have to say, I'm sorry, my bad. I'm fucked up, you fucked up. But if God got us, we're going to be all right.
We're gonna be all right. Yeah, for sure.
So I'm call to action to reflect on how entertainment has molded your character and your personality, and how you want to reflect on how that is impacting the way your children are today and how you are navigating your household, in addition to how we as a people, women, can come together collectively to support one another because we need each other, especially as for a time as this. These people are preying on our children. We have another podcast. We're going to get into the value of the black body and the black womb, and why so many of us go missing, and why they want our blood and our uteruses and stuff like that.
Mm,
Which is all the more reason why we need to come together to protect us. We do.
sure, for sure. Yeah, thank you very much. And I think it's important for us to know, and have these conversations so that we can understand more fully who we are, and who we are as, women, who we are as men, who we are as Black women specifically, and how I think it's important for us to anchor the statements of how music or entertainment shapes emotion
Hmm.
before it shapes behavior, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
and how repetition is king.
Hmm.
And it becomes your identity, So you want to be mindful for what you constantly eat and what your diet consists of.
We are very spiritual people,
Yeah.
and spirit and emotion can be conflated very easily. You're in church, and this music is getting you. You don't know if it's the drums and the organ or if it's really the spirit making your goosebumps stand up. You don't know if it's the organ playing that's sad, or if it's your auntie singing that song sad that's making you cry, or if you're really mourning. Our emotions are weaponized against us when it comes to our government and agendas that they have. They weaponize slavery, they weaponize disenfranchisement and welfare and benefits, and they weaponize the way they study us. They study our relationships and connections and the vulnerabilities, and they weaponize everything. Because here's the thing, we always say, well, it's this, it's not this, it's this, and that. We have to learn how to walk and chew gum as Black people. We cannot, we needed Martin and Malcolm. We didn't have to choose. The government has the church, they have the military, they have the judges. We thought we was just going to need a pastor. Martin Luther King was a pastor. Malcolm X was the war. He was the war general. We needed both of them. But
Mhm.
as Black people, we were so narrow-sighted, we thought we had to choose.
Mm,
And we
mm,
didn't. We needed them both. So we as Black people need to get out of our emotions and learn to walk and chew gum at the same time and understand that we can address people in our community or who are harming our community while we can acknowledge that the government is not to be trusted, while we can acknowledge that we have work to do as individuals in our own families, in our own communities. Everybody's talking about pedophile, 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 when most Black girls are harmed at a very young age by someone they know, most times related to them. So everybody's screaming that, but you're looking at your niece, your cousin, your sister, but everybody's quiet in the house. So it's very hypocritical to me. We need to, not we have to learn, we need to walk and chew gum. We need to protect ourselves in our communities and we need to protect ourselves in our homes as well. And that includes the battlefield of the mind and what's trying to take over us individually and how society is molding us because it starts with the man in the mirror.
mm. Boom,
Boom.
boom.
And so we will be meeting back up again for our next discussion. Maybe we'll have a new song that is going to inspire us for our next topic. Actually, I already have it. You want to know what it is?
I do.
Music Soul Child,
Mm.
17. She was
Oh,
just 17 years old and I couldn't see her no more.
oh.
I ain't trying to see myself locked up and knocking off some young Joe.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a jam.
So you
That,
already know where we're going with that, right?
I mean, hey, it's the climate right now, so
It's good.
call a thing a thing.
Call a thing a thing.
Call a thing a thing for
So we
sure.
can't play around with it. I think we playing too much. We need to get real. We need to get real. Time to
Hey,
get
I'm here for it. I'm
real.
here for
Who said that's a great topic? Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much for joining and hanging around. But yes, so if anybody have any questions or anything to add to the discussion, let me know. Y'all want to say anything? Y'all have any questions? Y'all have any input? Mm-hmm. Very, very passionate about these things. But Shakira, like Shakira said, I do be giving her an earful.
I'm saying. I'll be like, people need to hear this. I shouldn't be the only one getting all this information. It needs to go out there to the world, to the communities, I want to share it with people because I'm the type of person when I find out some information, when I know somebody giving some money, some valuables, I share with the people. I don't keep it to myself. I don't try to just get me and say, screw everybody else. I think that's the worst mentality to have. And I look at this type of information as value, as something that we need to have that's going to help us, grow and make better choices. And so I feel like, I want everybody to get this. I'll be feeling selfish, like, oh, I'm just getting all of this good stuff and everybody else is, suffering,
Oh,
so
lastly, before I forget, we are going to be doing a seminar where we are discussing topics around, and it's going to be a workbook associated with it, entertainment versus identity. And we are going to be walking through that. Like right now, I'm telling people to reflect on it, but if you want to reflect together and we walk each other through it, that's going to be what that seminar is about. If you're interested in entertainment versus identity, you can join us for that. Details will be coming soon, forthcoming.
sure,
Mhm.
sure. Because,
I-
talking about addressing problems, the biggest problem in the world is identity crisis.
Identity crisis. And we are mental health professionals. So We forgot to mention that in the beginning when we didn't even do an introduction, but that's all right. Nita said, I just want to say, keep this platform going, ladies. These topics need to be addressed. Thank you so much. We sure will. We sure will. That is very much for the intention. I appreciate the feedback for sure. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Will either of you plan to do a book? Yes, yes. We are both writing. We are both writing and looking forward to getting those things out for sure, in addition to our seminars that we're going to be having coming soon. And those things are really it's our heart to support. Not because these are things we're dealing with as well, you know. And so we need each other. That's the point. We need each other.
Bottom line, we do. So thank you, Nita.
Yes, thank you so much.
To all the viewers, even those that's catching the replay, definitely drop some comments, drop some feedbacks. Let us know, what you want to hear, what you want us to discuss, what topics that you find interesting, because that's what it's about. It's about community. It's about us growing together, learning together, and building something sustainable that we can be proud of because our children are our future. You know what I'm saying? They your doctors, they your lawyers, they the homeowners association, they the teachers, they're the future. So we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support them and build them up, so that they can have a healthy foundation, to be great
Yeah.
for those
I
coming
want to
behind.
thank Nico for coming through. I really appreciate you, brother. Thank you to my sister, Kianka. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Miss Brenda. Thank you, Nita, for sure. But I definitely want to thank you, Shakira, for joining me tonight. This was a very great discussion, and I'm excited about getting it out into the world, and I'm praying many more will be able to hear this message and the other ones we have forthcoming. And I thank you for joining me for sure. You're a light. You are a light. You're
Mhm.
God is using you mightily in the work that you do day to day.
I
And
love
so
it.
if nothing else, thank you guys. This was I Divine Beauty. And go listen to Lupe Fiasco's Bitch Bad Woman Good Little Better. I know I've said some cuss words. I'm not a cusser per se. However, words,
However,
words are powerful and they have meaning. And I love language. I do love language, and I'm not highly offended by language as others are. I'm more about the energy of the soul. And what's important is this message. And I'm not about to skirt around it. Skirt, skirt. All right. So if nothing else, much love to everyone. And let's grow together. Deuces.